Welcome to Peace Freaks, a parenting and family podcast for the freaks, geeks, nerds, and weirdos, the outcasts who went on and had their own. We're used to being the exception to the rule, so come along with us as we try to also live exceptionally. We're here to help make you the best version of your freaky family. All right, well, welcome, John Odermatt, to Peace Freaks. How are we doing today?
Doing awesome. I feel like this appearance on Peace Freaks has been years in the making. Or I guess you guys had a different show before.
Kind of has.
Well, it's, changed names. Technically, we're still using the same numbering, so I never changed that much. We may change it again with this current incarnation, but I'm not entirely sure how we're going to handle that yet.
You guys had Mark on, definitely. You had Brian on recently. I saw that.
I've had Brian on twice.
Have you had Howie on too?
Yep.
And Howie. Wow.
Yeah.
Not
Cool.
Rico. I didn't have Rico on before.
I get the impression Rico's just kind of not interested in it. That being said, like Rico lives like within like minutes of driving distance of my house. So
Oh, there's that. He's probably just doesn't want to meet us like through the show because he's sure we're gonna show up for like a barbecue at some point.
I that's kind of what I always assumed it was. I didn't want to bug Rico because like I actually live too close to him. I figured he would probably find it weird.
That's the weird thing about these internet times. You got to be careful. You don't want to make friends on the internet too close to your actual home.
Right?
And then they might drop by. Be like, whoa, just stay on the internet, man. Stay on the internet.
They become meat space friends.
We actually went out and visited an internet friend a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did a family get together with his family and ours. Let Irma hang out with the chickens and ducks and stuff. And he got a couple kids of his own. It was a good time. It's always weird to find people of our strange ilk within driving distance as it is. You're not terribly far out yourself, though. Anyways,
No, just in Pittsburgh. Yeah, and I've met you in person now twice, but the time in Pittsburgh when you were playing your show down by PNC Park, was that 2 years ago? Might have been.
Been a minute.
It was a while ago. Obviously a lot of people they're not doing a lot of live music these days, so I'm not getting out there.
Was that a Big Love show?
I played there a couple times, probably both as Big Love.
Okay.
I was actually in Pittsburgh for a private gig, not a couple, maybe a month ago now. That one I made a ton of money on. It was so much fun.
Being sarcastic, or was it?
No, it was really fun, and I made a ton of money on it.
That's good.
Ridiculous money. Like I felt like they were just showering me in money. I wanted to do like the Las Vegas thing. Like just
make it
like
rain.
throw the money in the air, like lay back in the back of my car before I headed home. Problem with the Pittsburgh gigs is I always have that 2-hour drive back home afterwards.
Yeah.
And not the most fun thing to do.
Yeah, it's mostly driving through Ohio, and Ohio is the worst state to drive through.
It's pretty
horrible.
boring, yeah.
It's pretty bad. New York sucks a little bit more only because it's harder to get reception a lot of the places, so you can't call anybody to keep you awake. So you better have that audiobook downloaded because you're not going to get it to restream anywhere along the way.
Yeah, luckily, I've done very little driving across the state of New York, but if we could talk about our road trips the whole time. Driving from Pittsburgh to Philadelphia, also terrible on the turnpike, if you've done that one.
Really? Oh.
I've done, what do you call it? Edinburgh to, it's not State College. I was in State College when I was out there. I will just say State College because I can't remember the town that Terry used to live at, and I used to drive that to go visit my girlfriend back in the day when she lived out on the east side of Pennsylvania. And that is a beautiful, beautiful drive across 80, but oh my God, is it dead. Like it's gorgeous to look at. There's nothing out there.
Yeah, there's nothing in central Pennsylvania. It's
there's Centrillion, Pennsylvania. You guys have like the coolest place in the world that inspired the Silent Hill video game.
Oh yeah, I was not aware of that.
You know Centrillion, right?
I have not been there. No.
It's a place where it's got the coal fires burning under the town.
Oh yes, I did. I just saw somebody post who visited it recently and was taking pictures of that because it's a whole abandoned town.
Mm-hmm.
There's like I think 18 people technically still live there. I think is the last I saw the census. I don't know how.
And they let people visit though, which is weird.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
I mean, how do you keep people out of an entire town when people live there?
Well, that's true.
Like that's the thing about it. If people live there, people have to be able to get there. Yeah, no, it's just number one, it's a weird story. If you ever want to have a weird Wikipedia read, that's a strange one.
What was it? We don't have to go the whole story, but they were coal mining underneath, and then it just like spontaneously combusted?
Nope, they'd finished coal mining. It was actually they back in the '60s, like late '60s. They used to take all the trash and they'd take it out into the middle of like the rock quarry, and they'd burn it all up, and douse it in water when they were done. Well, apparently I think it was like 69 maybe. They didn't like they did it and they didn't completely put it out, I guess, and so it managed to catch a seam in the quarry.
Wow.
And that when it caught that seam, like I think it was months before they ever even noticed it because there was just nothing, and all of a sudden, I think it was like a local gas station noticed like their fucking blacktop hot and melty for no reason.
Yeah.
And so they started an investigation, and as it turns out, like, and I think what is it? They say there's like 150 years it could burn. There's enough fuel down there, so it's not going out anytime soon.
The freaking Earth is on fire.
Yeah, right?
That's not even the worst. I mean, you've got like, what is it? Hell's Gateway out in like Russia, where they caught a natural. You've seen the pictures of that one, where it's just the giant depression, and there's natural gas in the earth naturally, obviously since it's natural gas. But one of the ways that they used to try and like go down into like deal with these things, they would actually just light it up and burn it off. Well, the problem is that there's no burning this particular spot off, and so for fucking ever, this thing's been burning, and it's just a giant burning hole. And that's why it's called Hell's Gateway, because it's just a giant burning hole. Is all the natural gas that's like seeps out slowly from the ground. It's just on fire, just burning.
It's a controlled burn
forever.
Yeah, sure.
Well, that's you hope. That's the thing. Like you find like these places like this, they're literally burning underground. Like there's no way to control that. You just hope that it doesn't like catch the wrong thing, burn the wrong place. And I mean, Centrillion, they actually do have collapses places in the town, which is the scariest thing about it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like what Hell's Gateway would do, because I mean, it's natural gas. It's not coal, or like that will physically cause space to be changed. Gas is just kind of like in the ground there. But that's weird, man. It's weird.
Weird, wild stuff.
It's a weird planet.
This is the educational portion for the kids. If you want to spark up their interest in things that burn, this first 5 minutes has been for you.
So you guys changed your format, right? So what's the difference? What's the new format now?
Well, John, I knew that it was the only way we could get you on the show, because you're not a big music guy.
I mean, I listen to a lot of music. I'm not as big a music guy as probably you. I know I'm not like that, but I like music.
Yeah, everyone likes music. It's just, do you like music? Do you think about the music?
Well, you were throwing around your musical credentials before, I think, and that was just scaring, people off from the music conversation. So now we're talking about parenting, which everybody can converse about.
Are we talking about parenting necessarily?
Not necessarily. We're talking about being weird in parenting. So there's a lot of, leeway in the weird.
Wait, are you calling John weird?
No,
be a compliment.
I'm saying there's a lot of leeway for whatever you're up to.
The show is directed at weird parents. That's the idea.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to people like me. So clearly weird has to be in there.
Yeah.
But I want to have our parents on to talk about, kind of like the struggles of parents and living life and trying to succeed at living life. Which I think a lot of people, you can define success however you want, but I just don't like the idea of resting on our laurels in any way. And I think it's become more apparent and important in the past couple months to kind of really address what being a successful parent means to people. Is it just the kid living, or, is it setting the kid up to do things in the future? And I think listening to the stories, talking to people about how they're doing their different things. John has always been an interesting guy, because, what is it, Mr. 12 Streams? So we were calling you for a minute.
7 streams of income is my brand, but I'm not quite there yet. That's the dream.
How many streams do you actually have?
Depends how you count them, but I would say 4 to 5, depending.
4 to 5, nice.
I mean, that's still like 3 more than most people. So,
which is I like, because you were doing that a long time before any of this Coof stuff happened. What's the reasoning behind that? How far back does that go?
I don't know where I initially started thinking that way. I don't know. I've always been into, I guess I would trace it back to, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss wrote a book called The 4-Hour Work Week.
Okay, yeah. I have read that, yeah.
It's kind of like an ironic title. Like, it basically teaches you how to create a side hustle and then build it in a way that you're able to, have VAs do a lot of the work. And I think his were mostly around finding like high dollar ticket items to sell so you could actually scale it up and make real good money. But, it's 4 hours, like saying you could do this, you could run this business in just 4 hours a week and travel the world, live in other countries, sit on a beach, whatever. But I mean, the way that I looked at it, and I think most of his fans look at it, and I think really the way that he intends people to take it, is that it just opens up more time to
For more things.
add another skill, to start another company, to give back in another way. So you're freeing yourself up. And there's this whole, and I'm not super familiar with it. I actually just found it kind of recently, called the FIRE movement. Have you guys heard of that?
No.
No, actually.
What does it stand for? Freedom. I forget what the FIRE stands for, but it's basically about, I guess it's financial freedom, or that's backwards. But anyway, and it's early retirement, or retire early.
Okay.
So it's rebranding, live today like no one else so you can live tomorrow like no one else. That whole thing.
No, not really. Like, it's more, I think at least the people who are the leaders in that movement, they're more on like the savings end, like get your life down to like almost nothing, like as minimalistic as possible. And, just get it to a point where you can save, invest, then just have enough money coming in from your investments that you're able to pay your bills.
Okay.
So I kind of look at it, that's cool, but I would rather have my income streams pay for my life.
Why would you put your life on hold forever? Why are you waiting until 50 or whatever it is to live life at that point? Is what that sounds like to me.
No, there's guys that do this in their 20s. I mean, obviously they're starting like right out of college, but
yeah.
Well, no, but I mean like the idea of you're limiting all of your resources down to like where they take care of your stuff, and you're saving and doing all that. The idea is that you're going to have that money later on to live the life that you dream of, is what it sounds like to me. Maybe I'm misinterpreting it.
Yeah, I think maybe I'm doing a poor job explaining it. That's probably more likely. But it
sounds like the Dave Ramsey method rehashed all over to me. So
that's the Dave Ramsey method is just which I don't agree with for a lot of reasons. Like Dave Ramsey would say, buy your car in all cash.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that, because if you're getting a very low interest rate, why would you not, split that payment up?
Yeah.
And then invest that other chunk of money. If you're going to spend $30,000 today on a car, you can easily beat that. What is it on a car? 4%, 4.5% of your interest rate. All you have to do is beat that with the money that you're not buying the car with, that you're investing or starting a business with, and you're making a better deal.
He's getting into IBC there, Liz.
Yeah. No, that's all good stuff to think about. I mean, I think most people just think, I don't know, that car is pretty, I'll buy it,
Is that how you think we buy cars? I thought last time we bought a car, it was like, someone please help me, give me something affordable and reliable. I have a 1-year-old and I'm stuck here in a parking lot.
Well, I mean, that was the last time we bought a car. But I feel like most people, I don't know. I see people with a lot more new cars than us. We kind of bought one because we needed it, and we've had it for, I don't know, 5-6 years, and we've got under 100,000 miles on it still. But I feel like most people buy them because they like them.
Do you like cars, John?
I look at cars as just, it's something you need to get around. I had my first car that I got after college in 2006, and I drove it into the ground, 200,000 miles on it, and got rid of it in 2016.
Oh, wow.
And I got another car in 2016 that I'll drive hopefully until 2026 at least.
It just seems like, I guess I've never understood like buying a flashy car for sure. I mean, I can appreciate like an old Cadillac or something that just looks real pretty, but like, why would I waste the money on that? Like, there's plenty of other cool things I could do with that money. Like, give me an experience. Give me just something interesting. Like a car, it's just a car.
It's very low on my list of things that I would spend money on if I had the money to spend frivolously on things. It would be traveling, owning a vacation house somewhere. I mean, why put people spend $250,000 on a car? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I could buy land somewhere. That would be one of the properties for the busing list.
Yeah, sure.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your family and like what is the thing that you do all this for, man? That you're apparently is that money just to be hoarded like a dragon? Just John curls up on a pile of gold at night, snorts it.
Yeah, I want to be like Jeff Bezos and sleep with $200 billion underneath my mattress because that's what Jeff Bezos does. Or that's
about that.
that's what progressives think.
It couldn't possibly be in investments and sitting in all of the businesses that serve them things.
But yeah, I mean, so my family have my wife Nicole and our daughter Ruby. Ruby's about to turn 5 years old.
Aww.
And yeah, I mean, I do this for them, and my wife is also entrepreneurial as well.
You guys do the MLM stuff together, right?
Yeah, we do Plexus, MLM, network marketing, whatever you want to call it, social media marketing. It's a bunch of different names for it. So we do that, and I mean, Nicole. We've been doing it for about 3 years. And when I say doing it, I've been taking the products for 3 years. I really haven't worked on building a business until recently in the past few months. And it's been going well, but Nicole's doing extremely well with it. And right now
well, she's not an ugly woman, so that can't hurt for her.
What are you trying to say?
I'm saying you got a hot wife.
Well, I appreciate that.
I want to be honest. You and Brian both apparently have hot wives. Good job for you guys.
You too, Nick. You too.
Well, I know, but I tell her that all the time.
We're just going to talk about how hot our wives are. We can talk about our hot wives all day.
So you got a 5-year-old, you got a wife. So is she? It's cool that she seems to like be willing to go down that journey with you. That's been the big thing. I think that has probably been the most binding thing with me and Liz is that like I think we're both willing to take the journey together. And if hey, this is something I want to do, and like, okay, well, how can I help? I feel like too many people like I hear a lot of couples that they complain about their significant other, and I just can't imagine being in a relationship where I'm going to complain about the person I'm with, or that they're not there backing me up as my teammate 100% of the time. So
yeah, I 100% agree with you there. I mean, the one thing that I don't know where I first heard this, but it was right before we got married. It might have been from the pastor who married us when we had to take like these marriage classes. They weren't really classes; it was basically just sitting down talking to him. But one thing that he talked about, and I think I already knew this because I hadn't done it, in our relationship to this point. I didn't plan on doing it, but I mean, you got to keep, some sort of protection around your marriage. You can't go, if you have an issue or a problem with your spouse, you don't want to go to work and start trashing them to your coworkers, and that brings your coworkers into your marriage. And I see all these, social media influencers who end up getting divorced, and their entire like influence is built around the two of them trashing each other on podcasts. And it's like, what do you expect to happen? I mean, you're bringing the entire world into your marriage, just dividing you apart. But it's been great for Nicole and I to have, with Plexus together, to work on that together and have goals. And, a lot of the times, like we'll have date nights every Friday night. We do a date night, even during these COVID times. Before COVID, we would go out to nothing crazy. We'll go out to a restaurant or something before COVID. And now we just have dinner, and Ruby goes to bed, and we'll play some drinking games or just sit there and talk. I mean, we don't watch TV, we don't watch movies, and let's talk about the future and what we see in the future and dream a little bit. And
what do you see in the future? I think that's a question that I think everybody out there right now is having a lot of difficulty answering. Like our big thing for the past couple months has just been trying to handle the debt and get the debt under wraps so we can be lean and have more options. But I'm kind of finding the closer we get to doing that, the more things I guess are opening up, the more options I feel like I'm presented with, the harder it is to really envision a future, because it's just I don't know where to go. I don't know I'm going to have to like make a choice at some point to do something, and everything changes so quick. Even our position in life is changing so quickly. It's like, what do you do with that? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we have goals, that we're reaching for that, probably some would say are pretty unrealistic. But I mean, I think Nicole would even she has told me that this goal is unrealistic. But I'm keeping it in mind, and I keep bringing it to my own attention every day to try to think about it and remind myself about it. But by next April, I would like to be able to leave my corporate job, which is crazy to think. And even 4 months ago, I wouldn't have been bold enough to make that claim. But the way things are coming together for us, I think it's possible. It's doable. But like you said, I mean, you have to set yourself. You can't just. I mean, I could just quit my job tomorrow, but I'll be in a shitty situation the next day.
Yeah.
So you need to have things set up in a way where obviously get all the debt, get rid of all the debt, have savings there in case you need it, and have a fallback plan. And I think people are afraid to make that plunge because they don't make that initial reach and have something to work towards. They don't put that goal out there because they think it's so unattainable. But unless you put that out there and have something to shoot for,
Yeah.
you're probably never going to do it.
Yeah.
And I can tell you this, it doesn't always work out perfect or exactly as you planned it, but it can work out. In December, I had opted to drop down to part-time at my day job. And my bosses were cool with it. We worked everything out. They hired a new guy to kind of work. And the idea was I'm gonna really lean into my performing, and I'm gonna go out and try and make my money as best I can with the music. And then Coov hits, and my entire calendar of events for an entire year disappears overnight. And you're like, well, I didn't see that happening.
Yeah.
But by the same token, because of all those big checks they were sending out to people who were unemployed, the ATM business really started popping. And so they had a whole bunch of extra hours at the office that just needed somebody to fill, and I happen to have that skill set. So, you don't need to be afraid, I don't think. You need to be smart and think about things. Don't just do stupid shit. But in my experience, the universe kind of has a way for things to work out for you. Yes, I didn't end up doing what I planned to do, but I tried. And when it was all said and done, like I don't lose the skills that I already had. And, there's always options always present themselves. So
yeah, if you picture, I think it was Tim Ferriss that first introduced me to this exercise, but like when you have a decision like that, like picture the worst case scenario, and probably before you left your job and decided to focus on music, you probably could not even have imagined COVID happening in that scenario.
I don't think
truly was the worst case scenario. But
yeah, it literally happened.
But the worst case scenario actually turned around and gave you an opportunity there. So yeah, things do have a way of working out. And like you said, I mean, you have the skills; they don't disappear.
I can always do the same thing again at some point if live music ever becomes a thing again. So like I still have some gigs now. I still make a little money doing it. But it's I'm still standing, I guess, is the motto on that one. So I'm curious. We joke about your Mr. Seven Streams. You've got the Plexus. What else do you have that you work with?
Yeah, I do land investing.
Okay.
So, and this is something that I'm still taking income off of it, but I need to put more time into it.
It sounds so complicated.
I could make it less complicated, and others do it better than me. I haven't perfected it as well as others have. So if anyone is interested, I can point you in the direction of people that can teach you how to do it probably better than I do. But essentially what it is, there's different states that are better places to do this than other. And even within states, there's counties that are better places to target. But what you do is you're looking for areas where there is already relatively cheap rural land. And most states, not all states, have spots where there is, affordable rural land. Especially when you get out west, there's a lot of it because there's so much land. And a lot of people with land, they maybe didn't buy it themselves. It was willed to them. Or, maybe they did buy it years ago when they planned to build a house on it and they had dreams and just never materialized, which is fine. But a lot of times land becomes a burden for people because of the taxes you pay on it. The government's always going to get their piece. You never really own the land because you have to pay the government for the land. So this burden of paying taxes, and I mean, taxes on vacant land aren't going to be crazy, but you're shelling out a few $100 every year, $1,000 every year. That's going to become a pain in the ass for you if you're doing it every single year for 20 years and you're not even using the land.
Oh yeah.
So the way that I've done it in the past is you mail delinquent tax rolls, people who are behind on their payments. The way you get those lists are from the county treasurer, county tax collector, and you send them a letter. And before that, you go on Zillow or whatever real estate site, and you look around to try to get a value per acre. What does land in this area cost? Try to do it by the county or sometimes break it down into sub-county areas. And you mail them, you send them a low ball offer. And it's blatantly a low ball offer. It's 30%, 25% the value of the land. And you just lay that out. It's actually in a purchase agreement contract form. One-page form comes in the mail, has the offer on it, as it comes from us. Here's our address. I don't put my home address. I put a P.O. box on it because I'm not a lunatic. I don't want somebody sending crap to my house, retaliating. And you get, a lot of people don't respond.
Mm-hmm.
You get people who respond and say they want to kill you for offering such a low amount of the land, but you use Google Voice. So you just get those messages and you can say, well, that person's kind of mean, but we'll just ignore that. And then you'll get a few people, maybe out of 100 mailers, you'll get 10 people who will call you back with lukewarm interest. And out of those 10, maybe one or two you end up making a deal with and acquire the land. And then the way that you can turn it into a residual income is by then selling it at the market value price. And you bought it for 25 to 30%. So you have 70% there to wiggle with, or really less than that because I try to sell it below market price.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. You could sell it seller financed. So they give you a down payment. Ideally, if you can have the down payment cover what you paid for it, you're already in the black there. And then monthly payments, monthly installments go into your residual income stream. You don't have to really do anything. There's no house on it. You don't have to take care of the plumbing or any of that crap. You just have to sit there and you collect the checks. And I mean, people do default. And I mean, there's contracts, that I have that if they default, they know that, what the process is. There's a penalty and then this many days to make your payments. And then if I can't contact you within, I think it's 60 days, then they give up the land. So that does happen. If that happens, you have to sell it again, which can be a pain in the ass. You do get to make money kind of twice on it, but I'd rather people just, pay it through rather than have that pain in the ass.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. I think my problem with doing that kind of thing is that I would like just want to keep all of the land.
Well, one of our positions that we've always talked about is we were going to get a school bus and do the schooly thing, and I just want to set up permaculture gardens all over the country and just decide which part of the country we want to live in at any given time of year, and just kind of drive up there, have the internet and power ready to plug into, and just hey, well, this is our home for the next couple months.
I like that idea, but how would you have like a water? Would you have a well there or something for water? How would you?
I mean, we'd have to set the property up, like whatever we would do,
Yeah. I mean, it probably depends. Like, I know there are catchment systems that you can use, but obviously that depends on your climate and whatnot.
In theory, the idea is that the house moves with us. So however we would handle it, we'd handle it.
You get a tiny house.
Yeah. With a tank, I guess you could. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah. There's a lot of questions.
Plenty of different ways to do it. We're not talking homesteading on this one, unless John really wants to.
No thanks.
You just like the idea of like little pieces of land all over the country that you just kind of go where you want to go.
Mm-hmm.
Home is where you want home to be, especially if you said you got a schoolie and the home travels with you.
Why not? I mean, that's one good thing about this country is that it's huge. So you might as well take advantage of that.
We talked about it the other day on one of the podcasts. Like, just maybe we were talking about it in Anarchy Bar, but the idea that like Europeans, the one thing that they have no conception of is geographic space in America, because like we can literally cross like multiple countries in a day over in Europe, where I mean, just driving across Pennsylvania is a trip. It's going to take you the better part of a day. And you can probably do Pennsylvania and Ohio in a day without really grinding yourself to a pulp.
Yeah, that would be about a 12-hour trip probably, at least.
Yeah,
but yeah.
That's a day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is. It's interesting, and it can be so different. A lot of the ideas like put something in New Mexico and then something in Montana and maybe something down in the Carolinas, and you got like just very, very different worlds even. Especially if you try, like with us, we homeschool our daughter, trying to ways to teach her different in different places even. What do you guys do for school? You thought about it yet? What your plan is?
Oh yeah. Well, right now she's in preschool, and she'll be going back. What is it, next week? I think the end of next week she has like a 1 hour thing, orientation thing, and then after Labor Day, I think is when she starts. But it's through our church with the preschool, which is nice. It's a really nice setup they have, and they're doing. You
godly folk.
Yeah.
Well, that is one nice thing about the church, though. It's not like exposing your kid to like a whole people, like these people.
Yeah, it's a controlled environment, I guess. I mean, you're still you're not throwing your kid to the whims of the public masses quite yet. But yeah, they have their their COVID regulations, which they're going to try to have them outside as much as possible, which that would be great with or without COVID. Take the kids outside, so that'll be good. And then we're not planning on homeschooling as of now. I mean personally, I could see myself doing it at some point in time. My wife's not on the same page as me on that, which is fine.
Whoa.
Just out of curiosity, what are her reservations with it?
I don't know. It's interesting because she initially started out going to school for to be in education, and she's great with kids now. Like we have so many, but she has reservations now. I don't know, as she's kind of.
Well, it's because she thinks that only a teacher can do those things now.
I don't think so. I just think she's worried about her own patience more than anything.
It's a lot of work. I'm not gonna, try and tell anybody it's not. It is. It's a lot of work.
I mean, it did require like literally setting up our life to do
Mhm.
it. So there's that also.
And it depends on, your temperament and your kid's temperament. And, I think everybody has those days when they're like, yeah, nope, we're done with the hanging out together. So,
Yeah, but I mean, with asking the question about homeschooling, with everything that's happened now with COVID, and God only knows what's going to happen after this election. I mean, when this
Violence. That's my guess.
Well, yeah, that'll be in some
It's already
part.
started, so I can't imagine it's not going to get worse.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically with schools, what's going to happen? I mean, are there going to be? How long are masks going to be around? If somehow Joe Biden wins, he's talking about a mandatory mask law for what? For 4 years? I mean,
yeah.
once you implement something like that, does it ever go away?
I mean, he's not going to win.
I know, but I'm just playing games here, just hypothetically.
Yeah, no, the hypotheticals on that are kind of crazy.
I'm more concerned about the election after because they clearly threw this election. They want to lose for some reason.
That's what it looks like.
And so what do they got planned for that election after that they're trying to really get everything in order for? That's even scarier yet.
Well, it's all about raising money. So they're trying to raise more money for the old DNC coffers, stoke up the flames of violence in the cities.
How is that working out for you guys? Because I mean, you guys are a little bit north of the actual city, right? You're more of like suburban area, or are you actually into the city itself?
Yeah, we're actually south of the city, but it doesn't matter in Pittsburgh. It's all pretty much the same around no matter what direction you go. But I rarely ever go into the city, and even Pittsburgh has been pretty tame.
Oh, well, that's
there hasn't been many. There's been some protests.
I know a couple of years ago it was rated the best city to be poor in.
Really?
Yes.
I could see that. I would think there'd be others though that'd be better, but it's definitely probably not a bad city to be poor.
The city provides a lot of. I think it was the biggest thing was it provides a lot of entertainment through the city itself. Was one of the things that it got high ratings for. I imagine it'd probably be pretty difficult in the winters there, but it was an interesting read. Because you're like, oh, Pittsburgh, huh? Really good city to be poor in.
Yeah, well, the city has changed a lot in the past 10 years. Like 10 years ago, if you went to downtown Pittsburgh on a weekend, it'd just be empty, like nobody there. Now, well, not now with COVID, but pre-COVID, there were restaurants and a bunch of new restaurants opening up, and people would actually be out and about in the theater district. You have the baseball stadiums there, the baseball stadium, football stadium. You have that music venue over that's next to the baseball stadium. You have the bar that you played in over by the baseball stadium. So I don't know. Cleveland also has a decent nightlife where you guys are compared to Pittsburgh. I don't know which one's more of more hip because I'm not into that, so I don't.
I mean, yeah, I'm a dad, so I don't know. I couldn't answer that myself.
No.
I don't know how to tell you what the kids are doing. I got friends in bands. I don't even see their bands anymore. I can't even see my friends' bands because it's all like, well, I gotta go home for the night, watch the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just something about the fact, like, at the end of the day, like, I could do something, or I could spend some extra time with my daughter because when she's gone, and who knows how much time she's gonna spend with mom and dad then. So get away you can, I guess.
And they grow up so, I mean, it's so cliche to say it, but they grow up so freaking fast. Like, it's not even, it's like when I heard that before I was a dad, I was like, oh yeah, they probably mean like, over the course of like months or years. No, it's like day to day. Like you could tell like changes. It's crazy.
It's a fun experiment to run, personally. It's an expensive experiment to run as well. Most of our debt, as I tell people, was when we first had Irma. Man, we racked up credit card bills, and it was just because you didn't want to say no to anything. Like the idea of your kid not having something they needed, it's unconscionable, and so you just throw money at it, even if it's not real money. And then at a certain point, you're like, oh shit, what do I do here?
Yeah.
And then you got to live life lean just because you have to. And what you find out is, oh no, the kid's gonna be fine one way or the other. Like they're pretty hard to break. What the hell did I make all those bad decisions, and now they're costing me interest?
I was just going to say, talking about, buying gifts, you buy those gifts when they're little and then they end up playing with the box more than the toy that's actually in the box.
Oh yeah, totally.
I think a lot of ours is like really trying to go the green granola way
Yeah.
like kind of going the expensive green granola way. Like I don't know.
Well, I just didn't know what I was taught. Like, I knew just enough to be dangerous at the time, and I was like so gung ho on it that I was just like, spare no expense. We have to have this thing that we have. And then, now I've had years to do research and kind of understand, okay, what's actually necessary and what's greenwashing. And, you can actually make a lot more measured decisions about how you're going green or whatever.
We don't even have we don't even what is it? We have our hose for our washer like goes in the yard now.
Yeah.
We don't use soap or nothing like that. What is that stuff that we use?
We use like a mineral salt thingy that cleans your laundry without detergents and stuff. But no, I'm just having conversations with, our kid lately, and yeah, they're very different conversations than I had with her when she was 5. Those were kind of more mirroring things back to me sort of conversations, and now I'm having like she's actually formulating ideas and sharing them with me conversations, and that is kind of amazing.
What has been your favorite part of having a kid? Like
Oh God. It's really having a kid really just taught me a lot about myself and kind of would you to go back to what you were saying where you want to do everything you can to make them happy, to make sure they have everything that they need, and it's just really just brought my world down to such a much smaller view. And I am concerned. The one thing that does concern me about working on so many different things and the Lions of Liberty podcast, and now we have this Bravo and Beer podcast that Brian sucked me into. I do worry that I am spending too much time on this other stuff. And when it does all pay off, how old is my daughter going to be? So that's a concern. It's just made me really look more critically about how I spend my time. And I don't even think I'm doing a good job about looking critically about how I spend my time.
well, the one thing that I always keep coming back to is that it's one thing to pour all of your time into your kid, but what does that teach them about the value of their time? When she grows up, how is she going to value her time? Like when I think about it, it's at the end of the day, I want Irma to realize that, nobody gets to decide for her what her life is supposed to look like. So, you need to have your thing. If you gave up entirely on what makes you John, what are you teaching her? You need to explore your interests. You need to follow those things because you need to complete yourself as a human being. Otherwise, you're just teaching her to, I don't know, live at the expense of others for the rest of her life. At least that's how I justify all the crap that I do to myself. It's like, I could spend every waking minute just hanging out with her, but then she's never gonna, I guess, learn what I would consider the value of creating and making and all that.
I think that's a good point. And our kids seeing us doing these things, working and creating, and as you would say, living sort of a weird life. I'm sure as our kids get older and they meet their friends' parents, and my friend so and so, her dad doesn't podcast 3 nights a week. So what? I'll probably get questions like that. But
I already get those questions.
Right now, she Ruby loves that I have a podcast. How was your podcast, Daddy? And she even she pretends to do her own podcast. She pretends to do like her own. We don't let her like actually do a YouTube channel, but she pretends to not do a YouTube, but she pretends to do like Facebook Lives and things like that just in front of the mirror. So it's kind of funny.
There's a reason you guys don't let her do her own YouTube channel. You'd be making a lot of money, I'm sure.
Yeah, not yet.
Irma's got the Irma Amazement Show. She really wants to get off the ground, and I'm like, just a little bit older.
Yeah.
You don't understand enough about making a show to do it. I think we can get you maybe like 7 or 8. We'll start.
There's a few too many weirdos out there. Also, like you have to have.
Yes, and there's a lot of bullets out there too.
Yeah, well,
the important thing is we can afford a lot of bullets with that YouTube Kids money.
Okay.
Just saying. Anything you wanna get out there, John? Before we where people can find you out in the big world.
Yeah, you can find me on my Facebook is John Odermatt. If you search that, I probably pop up. Although there is another John Odermatt who comes up, who was Rudy Giuliani's right-hand man in New York City. So
sounds right up your alley.
Don't friend that. Just ignore him. Occasionally, I do get his emails though, which is weird.
That sounds
people
awesome.
trying to send him emails.
You were being a poor Tom Woods acolyte, though. I'm going to tell you that right now. You don't have johnodermatt.com?
I do. I don't have it set up.
You buy the URL and then you don't do it. Wait, John, here, there's a simple fix. Send it to your YouTube page or your Facebook page.
Yeah, I should do that.
Like just forward it.
I have an email set up for it. You can email me, john@johnodermatt.com.
There you go.
I'll get that. But yeah, I'm on Instagram is @JohnOdermatt. Facebook is @JohnOdermatt. Please come to Lions of Liberty, the Lions of Liberty podcast. Check out my show, Felony Friday, where working on changing the branding here because I've been told that people think the stories are depressing.
I was just about to say
mean-
it is the most important show I can't listen to. I feel like every person in America should listen to your show every week, and then I get to it and I'm like, ugh, I can't do it.
So if you look at it from, yes, these are huge injustices, and yes, people like us that, are very much, we understand the system, we understand how it's broken. We're just so frustrated that we know it needs to be changed and it's not changed. That'd be frustrating for libertarians.
Well, and that's the thing. I think your show really needs to be geared outside of the liberty movement. Like you need to be showing the other people like what we already know, which is this is how bad it is. And for us, it's just like piling on and like I've been trying to change this for a decade and it's not good. It's just repeatedly getting slapped in the face every week. Like we're failing. What is this?
You can't discount these individuals,
No.
a lot of them who come on my show. And the one thing that it always amazes me is, they get out of prison, and especially today, and I think because there's actually been some momentum with people getting clemency, people getting pardoned, and you only see like these major pardons. Roger Stone. There's been in the past 6 months to a year, there's been a lot of people, nonviolent drug offenders, granted clemency, which is outstanding. But what I was going to say, they get out of prison, and like the first thing they want to do is turn around and be like, we got to get this guy out, and we got to get this woman out. They're just helping to get their friends out too. But also, they're starting businesses.
Oh yeah.
They're not afraid to. I mean, after going through what they went through, which I think there's a lesson in here somewhere for the entrepreneur, for the business person, or for just anyone out there that's unwilling or afraid to take a risk. Like,
You have no excuses.
yeah, you have no excuses. Once you've been stripped down to nothing and been locked in a cage, they just come out swinging. It's inspiring to watch.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
and that is the one thing. Like I said, I talk about your program more than any of the other Lions of Liberty shows. It was actually Brian McWilliams that got me listening to you guys in the first place because he talked about Rick and Morty.
Really? So that's how you found Lions of Liberty through Brian doing Rick and Morty?
Yes, I loved it. And I'm like, oh, I'll listen to these guys. This guy's yelling about Rick and Morty. It's hilarious. But quickly, like I probably listened to your show religiously for like a year. After which point it was too much and I couldn't listen to it. But it's always the one that I tell everyone that they have to listen to. It is the most important show probably in the liberty movement because I mean within that our place, it's the most here at home dealing with the real obvious downsides of so much of our domestic policy. And we can do so much good for so many people by helping with that particular field of domestic policy. And as you said, it's kind of amazing, like some of the people, the ringer that they've been thrown through in that show, and how hopeful some of them managed to come out. Like when you're interviewing these people, just for decades, the world has shit on them, and that they still managed to come out, find the silver lining, and just go for it. And maybe that's selectors, bias or whatever. But it's amazing that there are that many stories like that.
It is. I honestly, when I started out, I thought, oh, maybe I'll have like a year worth of shows, maybe 2. And I don't know, it's never going to stop, I don't think.
Yes. What we're talking about, folks, is apparently John will never run out of stories of felons in America. There's a lot of them, apparently.
There's a lot that want to tell their story.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we really appreciate you coming on here, John, and talking a little bit about yourself and your family, and go out and you guys make yourselves the best Odermatt you can, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This was fun.
This podcast is a proud creation of the Mad Audio Lab. For more information, check out madaudiolab.com. Peace Freqs is part of the Liberty Hippie Podcast Network. If you like what we do, be sure to check out Homesteads and Homeschools, Free Markets Green Earth, Cannabis Heals Me, and This Week in Liberpods. We're living proof that libertarian doesn't mean washed up Republican.